The first 2 years, I lost 100 pounds.
Sure about that. What? Like, you want a picture of me? Like,
Yeah. Graham, can you come do a backflip?
Cardio's making you fat. That's what we're going to talk about today.
You're listening to the Northstar Podcast.
Welcome to episode 83 of the Northstar Podcast. Shout to Ash one more time. As you can see, we got another little addition for those who didn't watch our last episode. Today, we're going to be talking about why your body fights fat loss and what metabolic resistance is. We hear it all the time that, hey, we see it that clients aren't eating that much. They're training hard still. And they're wondering, hey, I'm not eating that much. I'm working out, but why is the scale not moving? And they will typically say, I have a metabolism issue, right? You always hear it too. I have a high metabolism. I have a low metabolism. So what to actually do? And today we're going to be breaking down what people call metabolic resistance. And we're trying to basically figure out what's happening under the hood of your engine and trying to fix the stuff that you can't control. So metabolic resistance, what's your thoughts on that? Define it to like an 8-year-old. What would you say?
So the amount of calories you consume for a long period of time, your body will start to adjust to the amount of those calories.
Yep, I would say, yeah.
So the longer you've been eating the same amount of calories, the more likely that you're going to maintain at those calories once your body adapts to those amount of calories.
Yeah, or you're basically shifting into a new maintenance. Right?
Yeah.
Your maintenance is just shifting.
Yeah.
It's going down a scale, which is arguably what people want, and then you would want to re-strategize, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So we notice all the time as fifth chronic dieters, there's this phase called the yo-yo phase. Mm-hmm. And people do it for years. And it's a big reason why coaches like us even exist, right? It's yo-yo dieters, it's a huge thing. I think a lot of people have probably gone through it once, at least in their lifetime. And especially the biggest thing I find is recovery, which we're going to be talking about as well in our next episode, but the more stress you put onto your body. So for example, you're already at such a low calorie amount, which we mentioned before in our last episode, and then you're adding more, let's say you're doing HIIT workouts, or you're adding more higher intensity cardio. Your body is not able to recover, and you're adding more stress onto your body. Your energy is going to be lower, and when your energy is going to be lower, typically what happens is on the weekends you're going to end up having huge cravings. Especially it's typical like the Monday to Friday, and then the Saturday Sunday is where we get like that huge refeed, but not strategical refeed. It's where people say I had my cheat meals on my Saturday Sundays. And it's about building structures that actually kind of combat that. Because as you mentioned before, the longer you stay on a diet and the longer you end up just keep on burning, you build a new, what I call a set point or maintenance. And when you're at a new maintenance, you have to come up with a new strategy to end up losing more weight. So, we want to talk about thermogenesis a little bit, like in a simple way, because like that's like another thing, that's another term that people say for metabolic adaptation.
I think like the easiest way to look at this is if you've been someone who has been in a certain amount of calorie range for a long period of time. Like I've talked to people and they've been eating the same calories for a year.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't know, like I'm training more, or like I'm doing this, but I'm still not seeing change. And the thing is there's two ways you can go about this. So if you are someone who's been eating a certain amount of calories and you haven't lowered your calories to make up what you have as your new maintenance, then you're going to stay at that same weight because your new maintenance is lower than what your old maintenance is. If you have a smaller body, more than likely your maintenance is going to be
you need less
lower
calories to fuel your body.
Yeah. So either you lower them, or if you're in the boat where you feel like they're already too low, you might actually have to increase it. And that scares a lot of people and confuses a lot of people because they think, well, if I'm trying to lose weight, why would I increase?
Yeah.
Right? And the reason you want to increase is because you want to get to a point where your body gets back to what we call like homeostasis, or like a set point, or where your body can kind of relax for a bit. I actually had this situation with someone recently where they've been in a deficit for so long. And we were chatting. I was like, "Well, when's the last time you took a maintenance break?" And they're like, "Well, what's a maintenance break?"
Yeah,
like what's a maintenance break?
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, we bump up your calories, not a ton, maybe like 300 to 500 calories, get you eating like that again for 2 weeks and see how you feel." And then after 2 weeks, the individual was like, "Oh wow, like I have more energy, my sleep is better." Like if those things change after you increase your calories, you're more than likely you've been eating too low calories for too long of a period of time. So the big thing what you have to do is know, okay, where have I been? A point where you're eating enough calories and you feel like, oh, okay, I can decrease by 200 calories and I'm not gonna like lose my mind. Then you can decrease, but you have to know that about yourself. And obviously that's where like a coach would be valuable to come in and be like, no, I think based off your history, based off of like where we're at calorie wise, I think this is the approach we have to go. Right? And then after that, it's finding how you get to that point. I'm not gonna go into that because that's other conversation of like where we go after that. But I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing is just knowing what camp you are in at the end of the day. Are you in the camp of I'm eating too low and I can't decrease anymore, or am I eating high enough but I can now lower it a bit and I still don't feel like I'm losing my mind? So you just got to understand about yourself. So
And another thing I think is also kind of funny, we had a clip that went off about you talking about going to the bathroom and peeing more because of NEAT, which is basically you move in more when you're not exercising. And I think that's another thing is also when you go into, let's say you're a little bit of a refeed and you're going to a maintenance period of when you're eating a little bit more and you're going to that homeostasis. Long story short, you increase your calories, you have more energy. And when you have more energy, you're also going to do other things. Like you're going to end up being a little bit more active, which is also going to help get some more blood flow. And there's a lot of benefits that are into that, which we're not going to get too deep into it. But when you also are way too restrict, you're feeling sluggish. And when you're talking about that one camp of just like your calories are super low, you got to ask yourself, why are you doing this in the first place, right? Because yes, everyone wants to get a certain type of body, like they want to feel good in their skin, but like, do you want to be doing that for the rest of your life? You got to do stuff that you, end of the day, love. And like people say that all the time, but it's really simple. The more simpler I find you make it, it's like, okay, this is too harsh on my body. I'm going to relax, let my body just sail on autopilot for 2 weeks. And then the biggest thing is getting back onto it, right? It's like, I find like the hardest thing I also notice with people is their first time is that they'll kind of like, without a coach, they'll kind of like go into their maintenance. And it's good if they, get stronger at the gym, their strength training goes up, they're building more muscle. But if they're not eating the right foods correctly, they're not eating the right amount of foods as well, they end up stalling as well. So that's another thing. This is like one of those topics that are like pretty simple. And at the end of the day, it's something that is there anything
I think it's just scary when people have to increase when they've been in a low calorie and they think that you're just gonna gain all this weight, and it's not like that because it didn't take.
You eat carbs. You hear this, like, you want to increase my carbs, and then like I'm gonna get fat, right?
Yeah.
It's like
you didn't get to that point in such a short period of time. Like you didn't lose all that weight in a short period of time. You won't gain that weight in that short period of time, right? So you have to look at it like that, and that this phase that you have to go into sometimes is necessary to just give your body a break. By knowing this, because when you're in a deficit, you're already giving you're not giving yourself enough food to maintain. So that is a stressor, right? If you're also training hard, you're weightlifting, that's also a stressor. If you're not sleeping well, obviously that's another stressor, and we can keep going on why all these things are stressing you out. But at the end of the day, if you can get to a point and understand that when you're in a deficit or you're trying to lose body fat, the goal should not be to gain muscle at the same time. If you're a total beginner, you never lifted a weight in your life, that will happen because now you're putting your muscle under stress that's never been put under. 100% that will be the case. But if you're someone who's been doing this for a long time, the goal shouldn't be to gain muscle in a deficit. It should be maintain the muscle that you have. When you get to a low body fat percentage, when you get to a low body fat percentage and you're happy with that, that's when you start to gain muscle and you start back adding the calories. So understanding the two differences, and that's such a big thing that I see. People are like, well, why am I not gaining muscle in a deficit? I'm like, well, the big reason why is because you're not giving yourself enough calories.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very, very hard for the body to gain muscle. And even if you do gain a pound or 1 or 2 pounds of muscle in a deficit, that is amazing. That is like the best thing you can ask for, right? And I think that's where that misconception, they're like, well, why wasn't it 5? Or why wasn't it 10? Or why wasn't it 20? Like that is so hard to do.
Me to gain 20 pounds of muscle in a year would be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like the thing about muscle, it's an expensive tissue. We've kind of said that word is like expensive tissue. I like to think of it as a bank. It takes more money, right? So you need to basically fill up the bank a little bit more with more calories because it needs more fuel. And yeah, I love that analogy. That was awesome.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, just knowing where, basically to sum it up, is knowing what camp you're in, knowing what direction you have to go. This might sound complex in how you do it, but again, this is why we're here, to answer questions and help anyone on that path, because this is something that is not uncommon. This is a very common subject, and happens to so many people, because I've had the same conversation with multiple people. I'm like, let's try to increase their calories, and they're like, wait, what do you mean? I'm trying to lose body fat. Like, why would I eat more? Right? And trying to get to the point to understand, like, you have to do this. There's also another term called reverse dieting.
Yep.
That's another. So if you search up reverse dieting, that's also a very, common term when they're used to this. And it's basically just reestablishing and getting a higher metabolism again, and by doing it on a slow path. But there's different ways to go about it, and just understanding where you're at and what direction you need to go will really help you understand, like, okay, this is where I need to now go next to get over this hump. So yeah.
Awesome. What was that? That was episode 83?
Yeah, 83.
That was episode 83 of the Northstar Podcast. We'll see you guys on 84.
Yes, see you guys.
Peace out.